Like, where was the steam? Hello? Hi everyone, my name is Julia. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm so glad you're here. Happy New Year! Happy 2022! But first and foremost, I just want to say I am so sorry for being MIA the past couple of months. I think the last time I uploaded anything to this channel was back in August. It's currently January 2022. Happy New Year. I hope you guys are safe and well. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my favorite books of 2021. These are the books that I immensely enjoyed reading last year. I fell into a reading slump. If I will be completely honest with you guys, I fell into a reading slump around October of last year, which was around the same time that work just got super hectic and busy, which is why I couldn't really muster up the energy to pick up a book to read. But I was able to reach my Goodreads goal of 30 books, and these are just some of the books that caught my eye, held on tight to me, and I would consider these to be my favorite books of last year. So I'm going to be listing the books in the order that I read them last year, so these won't be ranked from good to great. And yeah, I'm so excited to share these with you guys, and let's get on with the video. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about was actually the first book that I read in 2021, and that was This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mutar and Max Gladstone. I heavily enjoyed this book. I actually talked about it in my mid-year book freakout tag as one of the books that surprised me, and because I don't really gravitate towards books like this was actually my first sci-fi novel. And apart from being a sci-fi novel, this is actually an epistolary novel. So what that means is that this story is told through letters, and we have two main characters. We have an agent from the red faction and an agent from the blue faction, and these factions are at war with one another, and it's a race against time. It's all time travel related and super imaginative. It's so creative and just a feast for the imagination, and that actually requires very big brain energy, which I do not possess. I actually had to stop a couple of times just to digest what I just read, because it is so wild and imaginative, and it just takes you to different places, and I really enjoyed it. It was such a great first read of the year, and I highly recommend it if you guys haven't checked this out. So for the next book, the reason why I absolutely love it is all because of this mindset that was formed in my brain, that if I don't get my romantic moment in New York City, specifically in Washington Square Park, or any park for that matter, somebody's getting sued. And that book is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was her debut novel, and I absolutely loved this book. I think it was so fun from start to finish. It reminded me so much of You've Got Mail, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. We have these two love interests who are part of rival delis that have very famous and beloved grilled cheese recipes. And just like in the movie, we got the bookstore. Here we've got the grilled cheese recipes, and another layer to that is they have like alter ego, or like, yeah, alter ego personas online. So you know how in You've Got Mail, we've got Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. They chat in this chat forum like anonymously, and they don't know if they're talking to one another. There's also something like that in Tweet Cute, and I think that the execution was done so well. It was so cute, as the title suggests, and there's so much food in this book. I remember I was talking to my friend about this book, and we were both like craving grilled cheese while reading this book, so proceed with caution. But yeah, Tweet Cute was a absolute delight to read. It was so fun, and it was very cute. So my next favorite, I'm actually dubbing this as one of my favorite books of all time, and honestly a must read for anyone and everyone, especially women, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. If you guys aren't familiar with Chanel Miller, she was the Stanford sexual assault case survivor many years ago, and this is her memoir. This is actually my first memoir, and I don't know if any any other memoir could top this because of how intense and how gripping and revelatory this whole reading experience was for me. I remember crying in like page 19 or just very early on in the book. I was already sobbing, and I made a point to put a tab on all of my favorite lines, and as you can see, I have a lot, and I have nothing but amazing words to say about this book. So this is her memoir where she talks about her experience before the assault and of course during the very long and grueling trial, and just how the justice system favors the oppressor and just how frustrating all of that is. And I never gravitated towards memoirs. I always felt detached from memoirs, but I think Chanel talks about her experience in such a way that makes you feel so connected to her and makes you feel as if you know her. And I think that this book is extremely powerful in delivering its message, and I highly recommend it. It's honestly one of the best books ever. And if you can get your hands on a copy of No My Name by Chanel Miller, I highly recommend it. Alrighty, Rue, we all knew that this was coming. We all knew that I was going to be talking about this damn duology, and I'm pretty sure if you are a regular of this channel, you are sick and tired of hearing me talk about it. But I'm not sick and tired of talking about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. Of course, we have Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, the best YA fantasy ever. I don't know. I think that's a pretty bold claim. I have yet to read a lot of YA fantasy, but until I come across a really good YA fantasy, if you have any recommendations, please leave them down below. These two books will be dubbed my favorite YA fantasy of all time. And yes, I have the collector's edition. I got these for Christmas. Aren't they so pretty? I'm so excited and I'm really happy that I'm sharing it with you guys. And you already know the drill. I am in love with the Six of Crows. It became my personality trait for the entirety of 2021. I did not stop talking about these books, and with good reason. I just will forever hold this duology near and dear to my heart. Seriously speaking, the reason why I absolutely love this duology in 2021 was because of the characters. I was reminded of why I love character-driven stories. We've got 6 amazing characters from different walks of life, different personality traits, different strengths, weaknesses, and they are written so well. Their development was done pretty well also in the books. The adventures that we'd go on were just a feast for the imagination, and of course the reading experience was just amazing. I got to connect and reconnect with some of the most amazing people, and I'll always be thankful to the Grishaverse for that, these 2 books in specific. But yeah, you know I've already talked your ear off on my love for the Six of Crows duology. But yeah, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, some of my favorite books of 2021. Okay, moving on to another book that made me absolutely sob my eyes out. I love this book so much for the sheer fact that its storytelling is absolutely impeccable. It's told in first person, but it's executed so well. I've come across a couple of first person novels, and you know, the storytelling is very flat, but for some reason this book does first-person storytelling so right. And that book is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I've already talked about this book in a previous video and how much I loved it. I was moved by the story of Patroclus and Achilles. So we have Patroclus, who is an exiled prince, who meets Achilles, who is, as we all know, a very renowned and popular and strong soldier. And it follows their relationship as kids, to teens, to adults, and it's just the perfect friends to lovers story. You've got the slow burn, you've got the angst, you've got the romance, and as I mentioned, the storytelling. I'll never shut up about the storytelling because guys, it's really good. Like, the word choice and the world building, even though it's done through first person, like a first person narrative, she does it so well. I can't explain it, but if you've read it, you may know what I'm talking about. But I will say this is pretty heavy, especially towards the end. I've cried. No, crying is an understatement. I have wailed to this book in my room. So if you are a huge crier, proceed with caution. But yeah, Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So the next book is another friends to lovers favorite. The angst is here, the romance is here, the yearning is here, and this book is called Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I heavily enjoyed this book back in 2021. I remember crying because of how much I love this book, and I actually remember speeding through it because of how much I enjoyed it. So if you want a quick read, I highly recommend Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren books are pretty quick to read. I think that's just how they write their books. It's very easy to digest, but the stories are very good. If I'm not mistaken, this is a pretty popular Christina Lauren book in the States. Not so much here, at least. I don't really hear that many people talk about this book, but I love this book so much in 2021. If you're looking for an intense romance, I highly recommend that you pick this up. It is a friends to lovers second chance romance book, so if that's something that you're into, I highly recommend that you pick this up. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of my favorite friends to lovers executions because of how intense the feelings are. I don't know, I just love when love is intense. It just gets so exciting. But yeah, it just has that added layer of a second chance romance. So this follows childhood friends Macy and Elliot, and they both have a love of words and a love for reading, and they share that. And in the course of many years while growing up, they, you know, kind of dabble into that will they, won't they scenario that most friends to lover stories have. And something happens, but you as a reader have no idea what that issue was, and you're just so curious, so you just keep reading on. And the twist, I will warn you, is very heavy. You can proceed to Goodreads. I believe there are some trigger warnings there. But yeah, proceed with caution when you read this book. But I highly recommend it. I think that it was executed so well, though there are some parts of it that are pretty shocking and pretty jarring. Like I said, proceed with caution. But I have nothing but good things to say about this book, and I don't know, just something about love for reading and love for words, which is very relatable to me. It's probably one of the main reasons why I love this book so much, and I highly recommend it to you. So moving on to the next book. This book was a treat to read, and that's why it's part of my favorite books of 2021 video, because I still think about this book to this day because of the complex plot and the complex characters and how talented this author is. And that book is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I have so much love and respect for this author. She is one of my favorite Hermione fanfiction authors ever. She has written some of the best Hermione fanfiction out there, and I am not surprised that I ended up loving her book and her writing. I think she has such a great ability of world building and writing such complex characters wherein you are just on your toes the entire time. Like, you have no idea what their motivations are, and it's just so gripping, and it just keeps you on your toes. And I really like books like that, which is why I really enjoyed The Atlas 6. And this is a dark academia novel, my first dark academia novel actually, and I really enjoyed it. So it talks about 6 very talented, magical individuals who are put together, and the task is to one-up the other in order to earn a spot in the Alexandrian society. And just imagine 6 insanely hot people who have amazing powers, and they're just flexing these, and it's just a great time, you know? And some of the scenes here are so intense and require, yet again, such big brain energy that I sometimes have to digest what I just read. I flagged some of my favorite scenes, some of my favorite parts. These characters are intense and very complex and very confusing. Sometimes you can't really tell what their motivations are, but I think that's what makes this book so enjoyable to read. I don't want to talk about it too much in fear of spoiling anything, but when I tell you that this book is gonna like make your brain explode, I mean it, because the writing is so good. And I think that Olivia Blake does such a great job at building such an imaginative and vast and complete world, yet she has a veil over your eyes and you just can't really pinpoint what's going on, what the motives are. And I think that's what makes this book so exciting and so gripping and engaging to read. So I can't wait for the sequel. I think it's coming out this year. But yeah, The Atlas 6, definitely a favorite of 2021 and a book that I would highly recommend to anyone that's looking into dark academia, or if you just like reading about 6 insanely hot people, you know, fighting one another and, you know, just being hot and being talented. I'm just kidding. No, this is really great. Like, the writing is just superb and I loved everything about it, and I think you will too. So yeah, definitely a favorite in 2021. So moving on to the next book. I love this book so much. Like, I never stop recommending this to people, and I can't believe that it's sold out in bookstores here in the Philippines, because I think that this book is like the cutest book ever. It's perfect for fans of rom-com movies and just rom-com in general. I actually made like a whole reading vlog about it. You guys can check it out. And that book is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Oh my gosh, I have nothing but amazing things to say about this book. I had the most amazing time reading it. Of course, it has the enemies to lovers trope. Am I Julia Delgado if I don't love an enemies to lovers book? But yeah, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. You can watch my reading vlog to see how much I squealed and fangirled over this book. But yeah, it has all the amazing rom-com movie references. It has the perfect enemies to lovers formula. It just ticked all the boxes for me in terms of what I look for in my YA novels. And if you're like me and you love rom-com and enemies to lovers, then this is the perfect book for you. I highly recommend it. Definitely one of my top like favorite books of 2021. But yeah, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, definitely a favorite. So we're down to the last 2 books in this video, and here we are again with another enemies to lovers book. I know, I'm so sorry. Like, nobody is surprised at this point. But yeah, the book that I really enjoyed was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And I really loved this book because it reminded me so much of the movie The Proposal. Like, the situations that Ethan and Olive found themselves in were very similar to the ones in the movie. So I was just laughing my butt off on the beach. I was laughing on the plane, and I had a really great time reading this book. The only downside of this book is the fact that there was no steam. Like, where was the steam? There was like none. Like, it was a fade to black moment, and I was so caught off guard. But I still enjoyed the book nonetheless, and that's why it made it to my favorite book of 2021. I read it while I was on vacation at the beach, and I think that really added to the whole reading experience. But yeah, if you like enemies to lovers and you're looking for like a tropical version of The Proposal, I definitely recommend The Unhoneymooners. And yeah, definitely a favorite of 2021. Alright, so we're down to the final favorite of 2021, and I absolutely loved this book. It actually came in clutch. I read it on the last day of 2021, and I finished this book in one sitting, and I enjoyed it so much. I now know why it came highly recommended, and that book is Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. I know, I'm also really surprised that it has taken me this long to finally read this book, and I'm so glad that I did, because though it's a very short book, it's less than 200 pages, it is absolutely filled with wisdom and life lessons. So it's a story about a teacher who is in the last leg of his disease, and he reconnects with an old student, and they meet every Tuesday. And each chapter talks about a life lesson that the teacher imparts to the student, and the lessons are told in such an intimate and caring and moving way, and I feel like this was such an appropriate book to end 2021 with. Like, for me personally, 2021 was a year of change, a year of transition, and I just really appreciated that I ended the year with this book. And I feel like this is a book that I will be revisiting maybe at the end of this year or many years down the line, just to see what lessons I've applied in my life. And I don't know, just like after reading this book, I just felt so moved and so inspired to start the new year. But yeah, super happy that this book landed on my lap and I got to read it, and it was my last book of the year and my last favorite of 2021. Alright, so before we wrap up this video, I actually wanted to give a special shout out to a couple of honorable mentions that didn't necessarily make it to my favorite books of 2021 or like the best books that I've read in 2021, but I feel like they deserve a shout out regardless. And here they are. We have 3 books, and funnily enough, they're all blue. So I'm just gonna go through them super quick. Just wanted to share these with you guys. So the first honorable mention book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. It's very simple, very straightforward. It talks about this cafe in Japan which allows you to travel back in time and talk to anyone basically. But the thing is, you can only talk to that person for as long as the coffee stays warm. If it gets cold, you end up becoming a ghost. And what I loved about this book was that the different characters that you meet in this book are so human that you end up feeling very connected and very attached to their emotions, to their experiences. And yeah, this is definitely an honorable mention for 2021. So the next honorable mention is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And this book, oh my god, this blew up everywhere. If you're not familiar, this was published fanfiction. This is Reylo fanfiction that got published, and I love everything about that. I think that fanfiction authors deserve all the credit, all the praise for all the hard work that they do. They are the backbone of our society, okay? I'm not even kidding. Anyway, this book got me out of a reading slump. I was in a really bad reading slump around like October, November-ish, and I read this to get out of it. And it felt like being enveloped in a really warm hug, welcoming me back into the world of reading, into the world of romance. And the reason why I didn't place this in like my favorites of like 2021 is actually a pretty petty reason, and it's because the ending, like the epilogue, left me feeling so unsatisfied. Like, it was so good. We nearly had it all. We could have had it all, Ali. We could have had it all, but you just had to leave us hanging like that. I don't know why, you know? But like, it's still a really good book, and I do highly recommend it. And the final honorable mention is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was mesmerized by this book. As someone who's super into like celebrity gossip, all that chismes, I really enjoyed this book. But the reason why I didn't put it in my favorites like list is because of the chokehold that The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo has on me. Like, I will always hold a candle to that book. So everything that I read from this author after that, it kind of just has to match, you know, Evelyn. But this one is still a really good book. Like, the chokehold that Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing has on me is quite intense. So I still think that this is a really great book. If you're into slice of life, a little bit of drama, I definitely recommend this book. But yeah, definitely think that she deserves a shout out. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And there we have it. Those were my favorite books of 2021. Guys, thank you so much for your patience. I missed you all so much. You have no idea. I'm so excited for this year. 2022 is going to be an exciting year for this channel. Hopefully, I really hope that I get to have more time to film these videos for you guys. If you have any book recommendations or video recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below. Please take care, please stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!